This video was recorded in front of a live virtual audience. Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to touch base on a very interesting topic that one of my fellow co-viewers and subscribers asked me to touch base upon. I was politely asked to deliver a sort of, they called it a masterclass in the comment. Obviously, it's not a masterclass, but it's related to Chanel. And actually the question was, which Chanel bags to purchase, because people tend to buy items that make no sense. And this is a really good point, because there are a lot of bags offered. There's a lot of small leather goods offered. There's a lot of confusion that can happen because also from time to time, certain seasons, there are some, unicorn bags you want to hunt down. Unicorn bags can be classic bags, but could also be, seasonal bags can also be unicorn bags just for one season, and they come and go and you fall for the FOMO and then you rush and you buy them and you hunt them down, and then you kind of feel like you don't really love them. You bought them not because you like them, you bought them because you felt like you didn't want to miss out on them because everybody was talking about them, but then you realize after some time has passed that these bags are not really you. So there is, if I'm to give my honest opinion, obviously, there is a way to kind of figure out what suits you the most. And I would start by saying, know your height. And you start from there. Before we go on, though, thumb up this video and subscribe to my channel here on YouTube. Push the join button next to the subscription button and become a member today. Gain access to extra perks. You can also join me on Patreon. superdacob all spelled together on Patreon. Thank you to all my patrons and my members who have already pledged. This video is being filmed live in front of a virtual audience. I film live streams every Saturday. During the live streams, all of the segments, all of the videos for my channel get filmed together, so you can partake in the live streams. Everybody's invited and be in the live chats. So thank you to all my co-chatters who are right now in the live chats and are going to be conversing with me about this topic. You can also get my merch. Oh no, it's empty. Let me fill up my glass because I always forget that I have to drink. But I made it my task to actually, well, let me just fill my glass again. Up. My cup runneth over, as they say. Okay. I always forget to drink. Cheers. Get the merch on www.superdacob.com. So know your height. And because, why am I saying this? Because when you tend to look at Instagram, the influencers posting the it bags, they're laying on the beach with the bag next to them, or they're just going to shoot the bag from the top, bottom, just, little mod shot. Well, not really mod shot, more like a mod shot would be if they would be wearing it, but just a little, little arrangement of bag and alcohol, the bag next to the cosmetic pouch, the perfume. It always looks so beautifully arranged, but none of that really shows you how that bag looks on you once you're standing up, walking through town, if it's hanging off your shoulder, if it's crossbody, how long is the chain, how big or wide is the bag in proportion to your own body, to your own height. And this is something you have to acknowledge first and foremost, the height. And how, no matter if the bag is a classic or a seasonal bag, how it relates to your proportions. So having said that, we get to a tricky part. The tricky part is you have to go to a Chanel boutique to actually try out all of these bags. And not everybody has a Chanel boutique in their own town, city, village, wherever you are. So it's kind of difficult to, not everybody has access to these boutiques to just go there and try out a bunch of bags and figure out which one suits you the most. So that is a problem. That is a problem for real. And Chanel doesn't do online shopping, so it's not like you can order a bag, see if it suits you, and then send it back. Nope. You got to go to the boutique. And this is one of those downsides to Chanel. in terms of availability, not because they want to be rare, but just because they don't have a boutique in every city. And if you do not know yet what suits you, you have to go to a boutique. You have to, I don't know, or wait until you are traveling for work or for holiday to a city where there is a Chanel boutique. And then once you're there, go and try out some bags. Don't be intimidated by the sales associates. Tell them you be open, and go to a sales associate and say, hey, I live in a city where there's no Chanel boutique. I've been waiting for a long time to come here. I really have to figure out for my height and my proportions which bag suits me the most. So please, can you help me out? And they will, because that's a very honest approach to the situation. Don't be timid. Don't be scared to ask that. And then go for it. Try out a lot of different variations of the following bags I'm going to show you in terms of what I think is. Now, another thing to consider obviously is the budget, because if the budget isn't there, maybe it's just not there yet. Don't fall for the FOMO. Don't get a small leather good instead of the bag that you're dreaming of getting just because you can't quite afford the bag, but you feel frustrated that you can't quite afford the bag yet, so you buy a small leather good instead. Those small leather goods are going to keep chipping off of your budget, and they're going to eat up the budget, and you're never going to really get to the actual bigger piece you wanted, because you're always going to keep wasting the money on something that is not going to satisfy you long term. So there we kind of come to the first major obstacle once you are in the Chanel boutique and you might not have that right budget right then and there for that particular big bag item. By big bag, I don't mean it has to be a big size bag. I mean, it means in terms of value for the brand, the bag that costs more. And this is part of their marketing, and I touched base on this in another video that I made, but you could watch that video. I'll put it up in the card section up above. But if you are not familiar with it, I can just briefly tell you, usually brand marketing works like that. They're expensive selling classic items are usually made artificially expensive so that they veer you towards the small leather goods where their profit margins are huge, and they just want you to buy the small leather goods because they don't want you to buy the actual big bag, because the big bag is supposed to be the thing you strive towards and you dream about, so that you constantly keep buying other things while you're still dreaming about the big item. And that's how they keep feeding into consumerism. But all details are explained in my other video. But keep focus for the bag that you really want. It doesn't have to be an expensive bag, but you have to first figure out what it is, what type of bag it is that you really want, and then you start collecting funds towards it. Or if you already have the funds, and funds are not even an issue, but you're just a very conscious person, you don't want to overconsume, you don't want to buy 50 bags in a year, because you obviously don't need 50 bags in a year. So you're just a thoughtful person. Maybe it's not even about the money for you. Maybe it's just about, hey, I don't want to buy a bag and then like 2 days later be like, ugh, I don't really like it. You want to buy the bag that you're going to keep wearing a long time. Well, we can begin with a wallet on chain. Okay? It's in its little pouch. Oops. So now this is not just a budget reason for wallet on chain. I also think what is so fascinating about the wallet on chain is if you cannot go into the boutique to really try a bag out in terms of length, what is so good about the wallet on chain, if you blind purchase it, if you think that you need a tinier bag, I mean, it is called a wallet on chain, but to me, it's just a very tiny bag, really. Sure, it's a wallet on chain, but it's a bag. I mean, now, what is so fascinating about this one is because the chain is quite long, but you can really play with it and change the length of the chain. I mean, all you got to do For example, you can shorten it. You just flip it once around here, and then all of a sudden it becomes shorter, you know, and then it kind of falls closer to you here. Otherwise it falls much longer. And that's something, you see, you get a little bit more flexibility out of the bag, because all of the Chanel bag, you know, usually that's the length of the chain and that's it. But with the wallet on chain, you have this and you can go even further, you know, you can make it even more. You can go twice around. Check it out. You know what I mean? You can even, another thing that's very flexible about the wallet on chain is that if we, hold on, let me just do it right. Check this out. If you bend it like this, or not, wait, hold on. Come on, Mr. Wallet on chain. No, I wanted to have it. No, I didn't do it right. Hold on, you guys. Got it. So you could also make a wristlet out of it. If you want it even shorter. Super practical, so you can transform it in so many different ways. But also really cool version. If you fold it this way, the chains, like you do a cross, then you get a different length than if you do this type of twirling it around, like from the outside. See? So there's a lot of different varieties in length that you could do. And that already, if you love the shape of the wallet on chain and you're blind purchasing and you don't know how to, you know, get to a Chanel boutique, it does offer you alternatives in terms of length. So that is, it is more flexible that way. What I also really like is if I make it a little bit loose, like this, check this out. You could do a double chain. How cute is this? Look, you can do the double chain as well. So there's so many different ways, you know, and then there's no chain on top here if you do the double chain. There's a lot of different ways you could carry the wallet on chain. So it is a classic. It's a classic Chanel piece. In fact, this is a hint about the fact that it's a classic Chanel piece is that the wallet on chain is included in the 5-year Chanel warranty, the worldwide 5-year Chanel warranty that Chanel just initiated as of April of 2021 of this year as I'm making this video. So Chanel now offers 5-year warranty only on their bags, not small leather goods. This is a small leather good, but exception is made for the wallet on chain because they deem it a classic. So the wallet on chain is also included, even though it's a small leather good. It's the only small leather good that's included in their 5-year warranty. So there's also that to consider when you're purchasing a bag. All of their bags, whether they be classics or seasonal, are included in the 5-year warranty, plus the wallet on chain being the only exception of the small leather goods that's included in the 5-year warranty. So, as I said, first thing to note is the size, your height. Now, second thing, what is a classic, what is not a classic? Also meaning, if in a couple of years' time something were to happen to the wallet on chain, you know Chanel is still going to be producing it. So there are repairs that can be made, exchanged pieces that can be done. Now, I have the wallet on chain from 2015. This one does have the little pressure point button going on for it. Nowadays, they made a magnetic version of a closure. It's a bit bigger, and they're probably going to be well, by now, if you buy a newly made fresh batch wallet on chain, you're probably going to experience the extra chip that's inside, which I really don't like those chips, you guys. They're so big and chunky. And you feel like if you kind of keep sliding your hand in the bag or putting stuff in your bag, they just occupy so much space. I find the stickers much better. Like if they had a microchip the size of a sticker, I would be all for the microchip. But the really thick microchips right now are just so ugly. They poke out in the bag and they occupy space, and you have the feeling stuff can get caught on them. I could peel the chips off. I don't like the new chips. But let me know in the comment section down below what you think about the new chips and how much space they actually take up in the bags. But the wallet on chain, to me, budget wise, it's still, I mean, they're super expensive. I think Chanel is, it's embarrassing how high their prices have become. They're just not justifiable at all. But as I said, if a budget is not an issue for you nowadays, I would say the wallet on chain is a great entry type of Chanel bag, even though it's a small leather good. But for me, it's a bag. I keep saying that. I'll never stress enough to repeat it. It's a great way to begin your collection, to get a taste of Chanel without spending $8,000, $7,000, and you get the whole experience of experiencing lengths and stuff. And once you find out the length you like, you can maybe measure it for yourself, and then and then you start. And also, as I said, the wallet on chain is a forever Chanel piece, so you're not going to get tired of it. Why are you not going to get tired of it? Because even if you do get tired of it for a short period of time, be patient. Your love for the wallet on chain is going to return. It goes in waves because it's such a classic. You'll always see it around. It's always present within the realm of Chanel, that it transcends fashion. It is style. So after that, I always recommend a 255. It's just the love of my life. Now this bag is a bit particular because this is the classic size of the 255. And they're also, wait, do I still have a sticker on this one? No, I don't. I was like, can't be that I still have a sticker on it. Are you kidding me? The classic size of the 255. Now, I gotta say, I cannot believe, again, price, I don't think they're worth it anymore, the leather ones at least, but it doesn't hold much, okay? It's not the biggest size, but it's the closest to Coco. This is kind of the size Coco Chanel had. I love to keep them folded. I know a lot of people want them flat, but I would never place this one flat on a table. This one always stays close to me. Because it's so folded, it stays also closer to the body. Just super elegant. No other bag in the world has this sort of fold, this sort of envelope solution to the shape of the bag. It's just so innovative. Carl was a genius to do this, just because he found the folded bag in the archives and thought, oh, let's integrate this. Let's add it to the actual DNA of the bag. It's just so beautiful. Now, these are available in different sizes. There's also a mini single flap version available, which also costs considerably less than the double flaps. See? But this is the Chanel bag. There is like, I always store mine with all of its papers and everything. Since it's just such a beautiful bag. Again, depending on your height or what purpose or need you have for this bag, you can buy it bigger or smaller. It doesn't fit much in this size, but it has so much history. So once you have a 255, you really, really start appreciating Chanel for what it truly is. There's no logo on it. There is an etched Chanel in here, but It's so hard to see, especially once you have the lock turned. It covers up half of the text anyway. So this to me is the haute couture. I know it's not handmade, but it's the haute couture version of any bag because it's so understated. And it is forever. Now I know if you're thinking for your first purchase and you want something with the logo on it. I mean, sure, you could get the wallet on chain with the double C, but long term, you will never get bored of the 255 lock because it's not in your face. You could get bored of the double C after a while because it's very chunky, it's very present, it's very omnipresent, it occupies all the attention, it demands attention. This one is austere, it is dry, aseptic. Even the fact that it has the de-stressed calfskin, you know, all these little wrinkles, it just gives it that humbleness, even though you know it ain't humble. But it gives you that humble, you never get tired of it. Because it's so simple, it's stripped of anything extra. And nothing it needed, like everything it didn't need was gone. That's why you will never get tired of this bag. The 255, you might think when you go to Chanel, so much money. You know, I prefer to get the one with the double C instead. At least that way I can show that I have a Chanel bag. But that's the mistake. I love the double C. Don't get me wrong. I have a bunch of bags with the double C. But I prefer this lock. Because this one, you never get tired of. Because it doesn't penetrate your field of attention. It doesn't oversaturate you constantly with its presence. It's always subdued. It's always there, but it never forces itself upon you. And for that reason alone, you never get tired of it. It's a very beautiful, harmonious relationship that you have with a 255 bag once you get one. There's a lot of harmony there, and it's just beautiful. I highly recommend any size, really, and any iteration of the 255 bag. Now, what by this I mean, you don't have to break the bank by buying the actual double flap. The 255 is also available in another amazing variation. From time to time, at the moment they're not producing it, but I consider this a classic. It's the love of my life. It is the 255 clutch. So the clutch is even more simple than the double flap because it doesn't have that little tongue hanging out down there, you know. This little extra piece of work that you need to do to cut that out, you know, it's even more simplified here. It's just a straight cut, and then we have the lock in there. Oh, God, I love this bag. Very simple one opening. I'm telling you, the clutch, the return of the clutch, the renaissance of the clutch is coming back. This one will, if you hunt one down, it will cost you 3 times less than the double flap. But it will give you size. It does have a little bit of width there, and it is bendy and flexible if you fill it up. And on the plus side, it doesn't have a chain, so you don't have to worry about, is it going to hang too low, too high? You carry it literally close to you like this, or just like that, or you grab it underneath and carry it like that. And it's always close to you, and there is no need for worrying whether or not it's going to fit. The size is cool. When you see it on a table, it looks quite small, but when you lift it and actually wear it close to your body, it seems much bigger than it appears to be when it's just laying around. So don't get fooled by this one when you see it in a boutique. It's all about your size again. So if you see it in a boutique and it looks really tiny to you, you're like, oh my gosh, it's so small. Take it, hold it, and look into a mirror. Look at yourself holding in a mirror. You're going to realize, it's actually bigger than it looks, than it appears to be when you're not holding it. And a clutch, I know, is something that a lot of people think, oh, you lose a hand. You only can have one hand. But actually, you can have 2 hands. Yes, you got to keep thinking about it. You can't just like let it stay somewhere and forget about it. if you have a bag on a chain, you can kind of just let it hang off your shoulder. You always feel the pressure on your shoulder, so you know you always have your bag with you, so both of your hands are free. With this one, it takes a little getting used to because you have to always remember to feel it close to you to know that you didn't let it go. And it's true that a clutch is not something that you might want to carry every day. So you might think, it's not really a piece that I'm going to use a lot. So maybe this is one of those pieces I would get tired of. You would not get tired of it. You might go through phases where you use it less, but this is just like the wallet on chain. This is one of those bags where you would rediscover it, after some times of not using it, and it's going to be falling in love all over again with it. Just like Christmas, it's as if every time I see this little bag, when I take it out of its dust pouch, it's as if I unboxed it all over again. I feel like, oh my God, I just got a new bag. That's how much I love it. And it's just beautiful. And I do think that this is a forever piece from Chanel, not just because clutches are coming back, but because I think the design team did a wonderful job in reducing it of everything else. It's really reduced to the minimal, to the bare minimum. And it's so elegant, effortless. This is effortless Chanel. The more effortless and simple a Chanel piece is, and the more you should get it. Literally. Because at the end of the day, Coco Chanel's vision for her own brand was always to reduce something to the minimum, to the bare minimum, and just make it irreplaceable. She always said, you have to make yourself irreplaceable, and then you win. And a lot of her pieces, her fashion, her bags, her perfumes, they're just irreplaceable. Once you've smelt them, you realize, oh my God, this is it. I can't live without it. Now, of course, if you love the double C, I got you covered. There's also the double C version of this clutch. This is in caviar leather. Same size as the other one, just it's a bit more puffy because it is in caviar leather. And it has an extra pocket in the back that the 255 doesn't have. So same explanation is valid for the Timeless Classic clutch as for the 255. I highly recommend this one. Of course, here there's a little bit more work went into it because we do have the little tongue pointing out here. We got the Mona Lisa pocket in the back. Both of them are completely in leather. The interior is in leather, so the lining is in leather as well as the exterior. They all have one internal pocket. But again, as is the case with the other clutch, you're going to fall in love with it because it's so tactile. You keep touching it. And the fact that you create a relationship with your bag that is so tactile, bag that hangs on a chain wobbles down there somewhere, so you don't always touch it. But this one, you always have to have a relationship with it. It's amazing. Now, a thing that I've noticed, there, almost fell. Thing that I noticed, with the, I've just tried this the other day. It's amazing. So this is one of the Factory 5 Chanel collection, Chanel number 5, Factory 5 freebies. So you buy something from the Factory 5 collection and they give you this Chanel cotton pouch, net pouch or net bag. And what is really cool is also, this is so small, you could actually put it inside the clutch. I had it inside the clutch the other day. And then when it got a little bit too hot for me to hold the clutch in my hands, I just took this out and I let my little clutch breathe. So I love the fact that actually this little net bag is turning into my clutch carrier bag. I know this sounds crazy, but it's so cool because the little bag inside is breathing. You see there's all this air filtering through and I don't have to always touch it and sweat my hands over it. And then I usually kind of flip this double and I kind of walk around with it like this sometimes. I really do. And I think it's so cool to do that. So it's kind of a bag in a bag, but this one was for free. So it's not like you had to buy a bag to carry another bag in it. And it's an original Chanel bag made in France. So this is kind of a cool little thing to have for your collection because this opening is so wide. you can actually wear your clutch over your shoulder. It's so cool. Anyway. Now, and again, costs 1/3 of the price of the double flaps. So it's not just because it might be a budget issue for some, but I also think these bags are really worthy. They're worth every penny. Now, they still haven't gone up in price, but they will. Now, here we have the bag. As much as I love the 255, I know people love this one more because of the double C, so I highly recommend it. It's the Timeless Classic double flap. This is in the size small, my favorite size. I prefer the small to the medium, to the jumbo, and to the maxi. Has nothing to do with the price. It has to do with the proportions. I just love the proportions of the top flap as opposed to the bottom and how it's cut. It's perfection. It's just so beautiful. And again, with the latest price increase, I think this bag is just, I think Chanel has really outpriced themselves. So if you really got, if you really think it's still a bag that is worth the money, then go for it. Otherwise, maybe try to hunt it down, pre-loved. However, be very careful. I still always recommend buying it directly from the boutique. I know the prices have gone so crazy up, but it's just for such a huge amount of money, you really want to be safe. And you also want to have the 5-year warranty. When you buy something this expensive, Chanel does offer you a 5-year warranty. So, but why the small? Not just because the proportions work perfectly, but also because this chain is a little bit shorter than the other double flap chains. And it allows you to kind of also play with it if you wanted to. It's just the right size to even, wear it like this. Like this. Actually, I would double it up if I were hold it like that. Or you pull the single strap and then cross body, it sits quite high. It would sit high up here, but I prefer to wear my bags this high. Now, I know not everybody does, but I like to have them frontal so that nobody has access to my bags on the side as they wobble to kind of open it and, put their hands inside my bag. So this one kind of gives me more protection for that. And if you think that, now we're going to get to a really interesting point. If you think that the double flap small is still too expensive for what it is, and just because it has a double flap, it costs much more than a rectangular mini, and you might think the rectangular mini, because it doesn't have a double flap, it's easily accessible. The double flap does not take up all the space, so that basically the rectangular mini is almost the same amount of space internally in the bag as does have the double flap small. But then again, you save, you only pay half the price, half the amount of money for the rectangular small as opposed to the rectangular mini. For the rectangular mini, you pay half the price as opposed to the double flap small. I can tell you, and this is how to put it. It's a bit controversial what I'm about to say, because I know how popular the minis are. I know how much people love the square and the rectangular minis. They're very sought after. Most of the unicorn bags every season at Chanel are just different colorways and materials of the minis. But I can tell you this, as an avid Chanel lover, long term, you're just going to keep on buying the minis, but you're going to deep down inside, you're going to keep craving the double flap. You're never going to be satiated fully with the minis. You're going to end up having 10 minis in your collection, and not one of these. And you might even lie to yourself, not realizing why the need to keep buying the minis. It's because you never really got to the double flap. So again, I say you need to satiate yourself. And I have the feeling like if you start off with a big bang like this one, you might not even have that craving to get all the other ones. Of course, I love different materials as well. So, you know, if I see a wonderful tweed, if I see a 255 in a particular tweed or boucle or jersey, I go crazy. I want it. But after I got the small double flap, and this was the first double flap I got, done. I never craved another one. Never. I did not crave the medium. I never craved the jumbo. I never craved the maxi double flaps. Never. It was immediately like, okay, this is it. I never, you know, it was the one. It was the bag. And so I know it's difficult because, again, budgeting is an issue, but I say with Chanel in particular, that's the trick. You got to get the big item. If you really want to not keep suffering and craving it, you know, the craving can only be satiated if you get the top. Otherwise, you're going to keep going back. And you're going to keep trying to fill that void, and you won't be able to, because, I mean, Chanel is, if you really fall in love with Chanel, it is kind of an addiction. I mean, it calls you for more. It's just the way it smells, the way it feels, the whole, it's like candy, you know, it's just so beautiful and puffy and round and organic, and you just, So keep focused. I'm not a fan of the Gabrielle or the Gabrielle bag, of the boy bag, of the 19 bag. Those, yes, Chanel's trying to sell them to us as if they were like classics, but they're not. They're not. Those are bags that have had more or less popularity, but they're not like the bags. They're just not. And they're gonna, if you have the budget to get just one bag, and at Chanel, and you want to save, you know, $2,000 by not getting a double flap, because the Gabrielle is still cheaper than the double flaps. The boy is still cheaper than the double flaps. The 19 is still cheaper than the double flaps. They're close, but they're still cheaper. So, and you're like, okay, I want to get this. You won't be able to get over the need to actually still get this one. Because if you get the Gabrielle, you're not going to be satiated. You're not. You're still going to stay hungry for the Chanel, Because the Gabrielle, I mean, it has its moment. The 19 has its moment. The boy has its moment. But they're not really Chanel. You know, they have the Chanel brand on them, the logo, but they don't scream Chanel. If you really want instead to spend half the money, not get the double flap, and then you want to spend just like half the money because that's the budget, then I recommend getting a seasonal single flap that is in a size medium, leather. It can have fabric on the inside. They're also super comfy and practical. I love my single flap seasonal bags. The chevron one from the cruise, from the Korea cruise 2016 collection is to die for. It's one of my favorite Chanel bags. I use it all the time. It's a single flap, tiny chevrons, de-stressed lambskin, to die for. That one will also satiate you because it is the classic shape of the flap, the turn lock, with the double C turn lock. Usually the seasonal single flaps in the medium size, you're not going to find them with the Mademoiselle lock. So That way you would spend half the amount of money, but just be careful. Go with black and gold hardware or black and silver hardware. Don't do seasonal colors. As much as you love colors, with Chanel in particular, you need to start with black. There's nothing else like black. A Chanel black leather bag. Bottom line. I prefer the tweeds. I can tell you that now that I have my leather bags. It's easy for me now to say, oh yeah, sure, I prefer the tweeds. But like, it's like you get to the point where you love the tweed and the jerseys after you've actually went through the leathers, because the leathers are the first way to go through. And if you're just going to stick to that one piece, small double flap. I know it's crazy, but the 255 only if you're really certain that you love the brand so much that you are fine with not having a logo anywhere. I prefer not having a logo anywhere, so this is always my holy grail bag. Always has been, always will be. But if you're gonna, you know, you just want to go for that one part of Chanel history, not necessarily Coco's history, because Coco did not bring out this particular combination with the CC lock and the double flap. This is Carl's interpretation of the 255 bag in reality. But this is the one that delivers more modern historical context bag of Chanel, because it was conceived in the 80s in this constellation. So this one will give you more modern vibe, modern Chanel vibe. And I would recommend, I'm not because it's more durable, but I would recommend caviar leather on this one rather than lambskin. Not because of durability, because I also made a video on the durability, and I can tell you that lambskin long-term can look much more beautiful and can sustain much more than caviar. Caviar is kind of short-term better. Long-term, it's lambskin. But I do recommend caviar because it has a younger, fresher twist. Not that not that there is anything wrong with aging, but the combination. You know, I would obviously recommend the de-stressed calfskin, but if you want, you know, and this is just available, I would never recommend, sometimes they do make this one in caviar. I would never recommend this in caviar. I would always go for the de-stressed lambskin now. But in the case of the double flaps, the caviar just gives it something otherworldly to me. It just elevates it to almost an alien status of elegance, like some product that came from another time or space, that you don't really get with. Oh, thank you so much for the super chat.
Andrea Myers donated
Andrea
$5.
Myers. Thank you so much. Thank you. This is the heart. Woo! And yeah, I want to say it's the caviar that is going to give you a sensation of traveling in time and space, and it just transcends time much more. And of course, my preference is gold hardware. Now, if you love the minis, okay, and you don't even care about the double flaps, and it's not about always craving the double flaps, then I would recommend a rectangular, not a square. I love the square, but we're talking if you're just going to have one, right? Or where to begin your collection with. I would recommend the rectangular black lambskin, because at the moment they don't do caviar. Black lambskin and gold hardware or silver hardware, whichever you prefer. But again, you need to start with black. You got to get the black out of the way first, and then you feel once you got the black one, it's forever. Black goes with everything. There's no color transfer issues. It's just a much more forgiving bag. That's kind of a tip to keep it, you know, very minimal, simple, but forever. And that way you will never get bored of it. But if you jump on the wagon and take some weird seasonal shape, that's being hyped on Instagram. You might regret it later, and then what are you gonna do? You know, then it's too late. So these would be my tips. I know some of them are super expensive, but not all of them are, because the clutches are more or less, the 255 is cheaper than the wallet on chain. The Timeless Classic clutch costs a bit more than the wallet on chain, but yeah, we got kind of all of these different price categories. But these are I know at the end of the day, it's not like there's not much variety here, but these are the bags. You don't have to get them all, but at least one of these is the one that you want to get to be like, okay, when I get this bag, I will not regret it, because I will not keep wishing that I got something else instead, because these are just, they reassure you. These bags are there to, these bags, every time I look at them, they repeat to me like, Dacob, you did good. You did good. You know, we love you. So that's what I got to say. So let me read your chats as well. What you guys have to say. Also, in the comment section down below, let me know what your thoughts are. What would your top, you know, the bags be from Chanel to purchase that would not lead to any regrets of any kind? You know, once you bought them, even though they're expensive, but you're never going to fall out of love with them. Jack says, my first Chanel bag will inevitably be a 255. It's just a question of when. Hold on, I'm scrolling through. May says, Chanel pulled a cheap shortcut on the new rose gold flap. The hardware should match the stamp and snap closure. Of course, the So Black is a different story. Love the reissue and how understated it is, says Milikito. Holy grail for me as well. Kristen Marie says, wow, you are still going. Thank you. Tom says, lambskin ages beautifully. Yes, it does. It really does. Very elegant, gracefully. It ages gracefully. My CC88 says, I first came across the mini at Roucambon back in 2017. Navy blue caviar, silver hardware. Back then, my collection was very classic. Had with jumbo single flap, black lambskin gold hardware, and a wallet on chain. Minis in fun colors. I personally don't like the rose gold hardware myself, says May. I also noticed the interior Chanel stamp and snap closure on the rose gold hardware are not... Oh, are gold and not rose gold. Oh, they didn't match them up. That's, yeah. That's not so cool. That's not so cool. Black Noise says 255s are real subtle beauties. Tom says, I don't need to advertise. Yeah, not having the logo is better. Tom says, my holy grail is the 255. Sweet Face Lola says, lambskin is my favorite. May says, yes, I bought your black Chanel bags before I started branching out to other colors. Oh, I bought 4 black Chanel bags before I started branching out to other colors. It's just that black is really, when it comes to Chanel, it's timeless. Like, it's a no-brainer. Just like I say, listen, for Louis Vuitton, for me, it's the monogram. It hits the spot for me. I don't care how much people say it's tacky. For me, it always hits the spot. So I always begin with monogram. At Louis, with Chanel, I always begin with black leather. Whether it be, you know, caviar or this de-stressed lambskin. De-stressed calfskin or lambskin. Kira Production says, we love you, Super Dacob. Thank you so much, Kira. Thank you. Love you too. Black Noise says, I'm waiting on the dark gray caviar with the light gold hardware. Double flap or clutch? Gwen says, what do you guys think of rose gold hardware coming out? I love the black with rose gold. Yeah, well, the issue is with the mismatch. I'm not really a fan of the rose gold hardware, to be honest with you. I like either really gold as possible, or silver for me. Black Noise says, I love it so much. I have a jumbo black caviar gold hardware single flap. Yeah, it works single flap, especially when they get jumbo size or maxis. It's better to have them single flaps because they're less heavy, because they're heavy bags, and it's, you know, they become very, really, really heavy. So especially in the 90s versions of the jumbos and maxis, in the 90s they used to do single flaps. They're lighter than nowadays. The maxi is a tank of a bag. It's super heavy with the double flap, with the huge chunky chain. It's a lot. And I definitely, if you're going to go for the bigger Chanel bags, vintage is the way to go because they do single flaps in the 90s. And I do have a denim jumbo single flap also to die for, but I didn't bring it out for this video because it's such a seasonal piece with embroidered Chanel perfume bottles on it, that it's like, you gotta love Chanel perfumes and Chanel bags, kind of the whole combo for it to work. But I would also say Chanel denim is also amazing. I would not recommend Chanel denim as your first Chanel bag, but down the line, I highly recommend, you know, at a certain point in your Chanel bag collection to get a denim Chanel bag, because those are so edgy in the right way. It really works for Chanel denim. I love Chanel denim bags. Hello, Skitty. Love the proportions of the small and that it's a double flap. Yeah, this is the best one, you guys. What can I say? Thumb up this video if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel. Let me know what you think about what your favorite bag would be. Also, follow me on my Chanel Instagram profiles. One is called Coco Chanel is in my house, all spelled together, dedicated to my Chanel collection. And the other one is called Coco Chanel Privé, all spelled together, dedicated to the life of Coco Chanel. And then, of course, I have Super Dacob, the main Instagram profile where I'm all cuckoo and crazy. And you can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Super Dacob all spelled together. Join, become a member today, gain access to extra perks. You can also be a patron and be listed here in the scrolling buzz as the co-producer of the Fashion Bunker. Thank you so much for my members and patrons who have already pledged, and to all my wonderful super chatters as well. And of course, thank you to all my co-chatters and co-reviewers in the chats. Yeah, Gwen says, doing the math on 10 minis. Yeah, you get the 10 minis and then you're like, oh, geez, Louise, you know. You could have gotten 2, 3, well, depends how big the size of the minis are and what materials they're made. You could have gotten the double flaps instead. May says, Holy Grace, me too. I only have one mini square. I love it, but I prefer my classic double flaps. That's, you know, at the end of the day, that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. Chanel Masterclass says, May, Sweet Face Lola, the pre-loved prices are outrageous. I would say it's not worth it now. If you don't have one already, also the super dupe, the dupes are making their way into the pre-loved world. Be careful. Be very, very careful, you guys. And on that note, oh, Holy Grace, let's end it with Holy Grace says, I would rather small classic over minis. Me too, any day. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please do thumb it up. Till next time, never forget to never give up on love. Love you all. See you soon. Take care. Bye. Mwah.